All right, continuing on. Vectors are also irrelevant of starting points. Now, what does that mean? Because a vector really, remember what the only two things that matter? The only two things that matter are the magnitude and the direction. Those are the only things that matter, which means if I have a vector that looks, I'm going to go over 4 and up 3 again because that gives me a nice 3, 4, 5 triangle. I went over 4, up 3. Let's say I had one over here. This is the point -7, -3. This is the point -3, 0. These two vectors right here are exactly the same. These two vectors, so let's call this u and let's call this v. So these two vectors, u and v, are exactly the same. Okay. Now, why are they exactly the same? Because the only two things that matter, the magnitude and direction, are exactly the same. Both have magnitudes. Both have magnitudes of, this is a 4 and 3. This is also 4 and 3. Right? So they both have magnitudes of 5. So 3, 4, 5. We just did it in the previous example. Right? And they both have this theta as their angle. So the component parts and theta both equal arctangent of opposite over adjacent 3/4, which I think we found in the other page. Arctangent, did we? I don't even remember. Arctangent of 3/4 is 36.87. Okay. One way to prove it, though, you don't have to actually show both of these. If they have the same component, both have the same component vectors. Component form. So u, for example, is the distance of 4 minus 0. This is 0, 0 here. So it's a positive direction of 4, positive direction of 3. So this 4, it's the second number, the ending point, minus the 0. 4 minus 0 and 3 minus 0 is equal to 4, 3. So the vector v over here has the ending point, -3 minus -7 will give me the change of x. -3 minus -7, and the direction matters. Minus -7 minus -7, right? And then you have 0 minus the -3. So this will give me -3 plus 7. So that'll give me 4. 0 minus -3 will give me positive 3. If two vectors are exactly the same, they will have the exact same component form. So what do I mean by the direction actually matters? So let's do one where the direction is flipped. So if I have the same two vectors, this one goes over 4, up 3, right? So this is still 0, 0, this is still 4, 3, exactly like the one above it. And I have another vector here Another vector here exactly like the one above this at -7, -3, and -3, 0. But now what if I flipped where that arrow went? This arrow went this way now. Now they're going in opposite directions. Are these the same vectors? Well, are these the same vectors? These vectors are definitely not the same. They do have, what do they have in common? They have the same magnitude because it's still 4 and 3, right? So that the triangle itself has this length is going to be 5 here. This length is still going to be 5. They both have the same magnitude of +5 because remember, magnitude is always positive. Yes, it's always the absolute value. But they have different directions. This one, the angle is here. This was approximately 36.87 degrees. However, this one, the angle is not this right here. The direction, remember there's always one north that goes this way. It's my 0. The direction of this vector is all the way around this way. The direction of this vector is actually 180 plus the 36.87. So that gives me 216.87. Okay. Now to prove this, one way to prove this is to show their component forms. What about their component forms? Are they the same? Well, for vector u, it's still 4 minus 0, 3 minus 0. It's the endpoint minus the beginning. Endpoint minus the beginning. It is still 4, 3. For v in this case, this was v, this was u. For v in this case, it's going to be the endpoint minus the beginning point. -7 minus, -3. And then the endpoint -3 minus the 0. Notice the difference between these two. The only difference is that these two are switched. And that switch makes a difference because it gives you a different component form. So this gives you -7 plus 3, which is -4. -3 minus 0 is -3. Not the same. Not if their component forms are different, they are different vectors. Okay? So, on your homework assignment, actually I'm going to have you start, I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to have you, give you about 15 minutes. No, let's give it like 30 minutes, 15, 20 minutes to start page 511. 3 through 12. This is part of your homework. And then about 20 minutes later, I'll play the next video for you to continue the rest. Okay? So in your groups, page 511, numbers 3 through 12.